Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with Gnoggin. Haven't been here a while since, Cascade. But we're here with another of his series, Pokémon Legends Neo. So, yeah, basically, think of this as, post-apocalyptic Pokemon. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So, I'm not going to spoil too much, but that's basically the premise. Let's just check out this one. First up is new evolutions for trade-only Pokemon. So, yeah, you'll understand why this is in a minute. So, shall we check it out? Be sure to subscribe for more. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if I should do more. Let's go.
The year is 2096, and a little over 40 years ago, our connection to outside parallel worlds was destroyed. Previously, we used the power of this connection to give certain Pokemon heightened abilities, new evolutions. We would trade these Pokemon with trainers from the other side, from those
basically other games.
And then they'd evolve. And for one reason or another, only certain Pokemon were capable of this, and some
unless outside of the
simultaneously with another Pokemon,
outside the game,
or simultaneously with a particular object or element in hand. We've since learned how to merge the power of these objects with those Pokemon to induce evolution, but since that connection itself was severed, no Pokemon who relied on its power solely has been able to evolve at all. That is, until a discovery we made just a couple years ago. While researching ultra wormholes, Professor Lilith at the USURP released some sort of energy that now allows these Pokemon to evolve.
So you could do that with the link cable and, or at least the Hisui region.
However, they no longer evolve into their previous trade-only forms. Rather, they evolve into wholly different Pokemon. And now, I'm going to explain these new Pokemon and the theories as to why they appear the way they do.
First up, here we go.
Or at least that is the in-universe, in-character introduction. Hello, I'm Loxton, regular Loxton here, not trying to act Loxton. We're working on a Fakemon region of sorts. More specifically, we're looking at the Greater Kanto area in the year 2096, several decades after a cataclysm of sorts changed everything. The main question this all aims to answer is, what if Pokemon was a T-rated action JRPG? And the trickiest part of this mess is, of course, how can we make it cool and edgy without making it
Pokemon
edgy? And so a few of these new Pokemon we're going to show off today are a tad edgier than what I would ever expect Pokemon in its current form doing, but only barely. There's plenty of ROM hacks that go way over the top with this kind of thing, but I think there's a fun challenge in finding a balance between edgy and cool and edgy. But anyway, not all of them are going to have that kind of edge. Plenty of these would work fine as regular Pokemon. So let's first look at my favorite example of trade evolutions. When trading Carablast with a Shelmet specifically, the two of them interact and evolve. I have a whole video about why this is the case here, but for now, notice how they trade details with each other. When Carablast evolves, it gains the armor and aesthetic of Shelmet, and when Shelmet evolves, it gains the stat distribution? Anyway, so what if they were to evolve without trading? What would they look like? I worked with the artist Elisteva76 to find out, and together we came up with Bombidel and Malance. And also, honestly, I'm very proud of my drawing of Bombidel. Look at this dork. This is the pinnacle of my drawing ability. So, without mixing, Shelmet would of course keep its armor, and Carablast wouldn't gain any, meaning it would go further into the Bombardier Beetle aspect of its design. Carablast's dex entry reads, when they feel threatened, they spit an acidic liquid to drive attackers away, which is exactly what Bombardier Beetles do. But where does it get the name Bombardier from? Well, from French bombard, meaning cannon. Bombardiers are those who fire cannons. And so we wanted to add in some French elements too, so we mixed in elements of the French grenadier, who throws old-timey grenades when not stabbing and firing their old-timey guns. So Bombidel has a sort of French-sounding name, while also being shaped like a classical bomb, with the fuse acting as a French moustache on top of that. The pattern around its body resembles both how old-timey bombs would often be wrapped, as well as a more direct reference to grenadier uniforms themselves. In fact, Bombidel's entire head is shaped like their hats even, and its face makes it look like it's kind of a rude guy. I mean, it doesn't get to steal a shell anymore, which is a rude act already, but now it's all grumpy. because it didn't get to steal a shell. And on the end of its cannon hams, you'll see 2 sharp bayonets. This mono bug-type HP bulk of a mon learns all of the self-destruct type moves, obviously, as well as moves like Fire Blast, Acid, X-Scissor, and even has an ability identical to Innards Out. In fact, it really could just be Innards Out, which is Pyukumuku's signature ability, where upon fainting, it deals damage to its opponents equal to the HP it had before fainting. Innards Out in the context of an explosion may be kind of gross though, so I could see it being called Volatile Body or something. Plus then it could
that
be
sounds like a better name.
Perhaps damaging all opponents in the explosion. Now, a Shelmet that gets to
I hope
keep
you got
its
your
shell
Pokemon out of
armor.
there fast.
It was surprisingly tricky, but we wound up with the Bug Steel type Molance, a similarly very French-sounding name. Milan is Old English for strong little warrior, and lance, or lance, is lance in French. Lance. It's because its shell is shaped like a lance. But the French word lance is also how one could translate spear or harpoon, which is notable as that's what cone snails use to attack their prey. Snaily harpoons, or just like the lances. And that's actually a part of what inspired these scarf-like appendages, actually. Snail sticky outy bits. Plus, it's a callback to a Selgor being completely wrapped up in similar-looking wrappings. The helmet has the classic snail spiral that's also on a Scavalier and Shelmet, and it's adorned with a similarly spiraled plume, resembling the fluffier sorts of plumes, common on the helmets of knights, especially while jousting with lances. And the helmet still has the slits in it like Shelmet, which of course resemble the breathing holes on most full-plate armor helmets, but the very front of it now resembles a frog-mouthed helm, especially fitting of the frogs, I mean the French. Though originally German, these helmets were used throughout Europe as the helmets of choice during jousting tournaments, when 2 knights would run at each other on a horse with a big lance, and everybody cheers when one of them gets impaled. Molance won't be doing any rapid running though. I mean, look at its little feet! Tiny legs, only barely bigger than Shelmets, though they are shaped like a knight's falds, which is this part, the hip armor. But at least these legs let Molance wind up a little faster than a Scavalier, but only barely. And also, if you haven't figured it out already, the name Molance combines lance with mollusk. So those are the 2 that obviously mix when traded with one another. I mean, they have to in order to evolve, but I've always liked the theory that some other Pokemon are intended to show a similar kind of thing going on. Like how both Geodude and Graveler are just kind of rocks, and then Graveler is a rock with 4 arms. Meanwhile, Machop and Machoke are just kind of strange reptile men with 2 arms, but then you trade them and now Graveler has only 2 arms and reptilian features as a golem, and Machoke gained extra arms as a Machamp. So now, question, what if we took those changes away and had them evolve on their own? Well, they'd probably look a bit closer to their previous forms, right? Could be. But before I show you Machug, before I explain Machug, I have a trade to make myself with today's sponsor. Are you
Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and pass this one, but yeah. It's actually pretty interesting when you, like, see what's gonna happen, but, anyway. It's really interesting to say the least. So, also, I'm just, at the end, you'll see why I did this.
Especially from helixsleep.com/Lockston. What? You think you actually like it more than my cat? That's
we'll talk about that one later.
Now then, this is Machug. Still mono fighting, and still macho like the rest of them.
Oh, looks like you got a beer belly.
Chugs down loads of food to fuel its powerful core muscles. Hence the gut. Have you seen strongman competitions? Those dudes are huge and 4 C's thick. Extra thick! None of that beauty pageant bodybuilding stuff like Machamp. And you betcha Machug tackles like a train, yelling chugma, chugma, chugma the whole time. Game Freak, hire me. I can't draw, but I got ideas. Machop has a tail, and both Machop and Machoke have more reptilian snouts, and I guess they lose that when the power of trading switches some DNA stuff around. Golem stole the snoot, so here Machug gets the snout and tail back. And all of the open, exposed muscle on Machoke has been filled in with more reptilian crests, sort of like large calluses building up on the wounds. Also, interesting detail, Machoke has 5 toes while Machamp has 2. So we went with 3 here.
For
And
the middle?
also, the darker skin here resembles manly stubble. And on the wrists and head, it's like sweatbands. And further comparing bodybuilders with strongmen, the strongmen tend to wear a lot more because, it's not a beauty pageant, and everyone appreciates them wearing all that. So here we got full leg tights and even covering a lot of the upper chest. And the big gut also resembles those spherical weights they lift at strongman competitions.
Yeah, the iron balls.
Atlas weights?
Stone balls.
I think. Comparing the two, I definitely say Machug should definitely have more bulk, defense, and HP.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe even attack. While he's also significantly slower and has literally no special attack to speak of. Like literally just 2. New Pokemon with the lowest special attack, period. Maybe special defense too. And this is Don Crete, see? An Italian mafia Don. Godfather mouth, mustache, arms, and hands included. Boom. Reference to an R-rated movie? How's that for mature?
Godfather?
Edgy. It learns a lot of dark type moves too. Instead of just a geode or just a bunch of gravel, Doncrete is full-on Roman concrete, making the Italian mafia connection all the better. Roman concrete was the backbone of the Roman Empire, concrete so sturdy and enduring that many of their structures are still mostly standing today. The original recipe was lost for a time, contributing to the many factors that caused more modern concrete to be significantly worse in terms of longevity. But now that it's been rediscovered, a number of countries have been considering using it more often. It's just kind of expensive. One of the big differences, though, is that the old stuff tends to have a lot more pebbles and little rocks in it, as well as big chunks of old brick, which is why Doncrete here has so many different colors all around its body, and why its arms, fingers, and even main body are brick-shaped. It's an aggressive aggregate for sure. And one that'll leave you sleeping with the fishes the old-fashioned mafia way, tying your legs to a cinder block and throwing you in the river. Doncrete's signature move, whack, which comes from the Italian mafia's word for killing, is a dual rock-dark type attack. It'll pick which of the 2 types deals the most damage. But what the move doesn't tell you is that its power is increased in the rain, like a dreary body-dumping scene in a movie. And Doncrete's signature ability, Dark Mind, which gives it the immunity to psychic-type attacks as if it were Dark-type. But it's not Dark-type. How extra devious, yeah. And now then, while that last...
Actually, that would be kind of interesting, like, when you think of it like that, you know? Like, the fact that it's, like, Dark-type, and, like, people would think, like, okay, yep, psychic... That didn't work. Oh, crap! I can see that happening. Can you? That'd be interesting to see, just, like... You go in there thinking, is this guy serious? Just psych it out of there. Uh-oh. Oh. Just whack it. I want to see that happening in a game. Anyone else? Anyway.
This one was a bit edgy. It wasn't super edgy or anything.
Gengar?
But this next one is something I know Game Freak would never actually do because its origins are far too morbid. So, upon trading, Haunter gains a full body, legs, tail, and all, so perhaps without the power of trading, Haunter is never able to really fully achieve this, though it wants to. Perhaps this leaves it in a middling state, where its arms and the inner part of its torso develops, but not the rest of it. This is Dongal. Vampiric, ghastly fangs and wings, demon eyes and horns, a huge split yokai tongue, and sopping wet with spectral ectoplasm, what appears to be dangling guts, which is a part of its name, Dangle, Dongal, but what else is there? Well, the names of the wicked ghosts it's pulling from. 3 similar spirits from Southeast Asia, mainly Malaysia and the Philippines. There's the Dila, a horrific bat-like creature with human guts dangling below it. The Manananggal, a vampire-like creature that resembles a human until it sprouts wings and splits its body in half, guts falling to the floor. She feasts on the unborn, preying on pregnant women and consuming the hearts of their fetuses. And the Penangalan, the disembodied head of a woman with all her organs still trailing behind to keep the head alive, you see. She too preys upon the unborn and even young children, and she leaves behind a trail of sparkly, ghostly light and an even longer trail of vinegar smell. Is Southeast Asia okay?
Yeah, that's...
Who came up with this? Also,
I don't know. They have a lot of ghost stories for the kids.
Like many ghost-type Pokemon's Pokedex entries, Dongal's mentions its affinity for kids and even baby Pokemon, and its ability, Infanticide, lets all of its
Pokemon that are
attacks
not
deal
fully
bonus
evolved.
damage if
Yikes.
the Pokemon being hit is not fully evolved. How much bonus damage? That I don't know. I am not a balancing expert, I'm a lore guy. But
Fair enough.
the last of the Gen 1 Pokemon was easily the hardest to come up with a new evolution for. Abracadabra Alakazam. That's like a thing. It's a thing that magicians say. And also, the Pokemon don't really change much between Kadabra and Alakazam. Like, ooh, you lost your tail and you gained a spoon. Spoon! Actually,
Well,
come
an
to think
extra
of it,
spoon, but you
Gengar
get the idea.
gains a tail. Did it take it from Kadabra? Does Haunter secretly have a spoon? But okay, without the power of trait evolution, our new Kadabra Evo needs to keep the tail, and maybe not gain a spoon. Well, we took a note from Mega Alakazam and came up with this. Ajimaji. You see,
Ajimaji.
Ajimaji is like the only other classic magic word in the world that doesn't sound lame, like Magikazam, Hocus Pocus, you know, lame stuff like that. But it works out because it's the same number of
Actually does look
syllables
pretty
and it
cool.
still rolls well. Abracadabra Ajimaji, which is a Persian word, and it means, Alakazam.
Huh.
Or abracadabra. It's a magic word. Anyway, it's
Ajimaji.
sitting down and all about its meditation, just like Mega Alakazam. Only
Makes
instead
sense.
of Mega Alakazam's big bushy beard, here it gets a big bushy tail and brings in various magic and psychic symbols into its design. The shape of its tail is that of the Hamsa, a symbol on amulets of protection, especially protection from the
this?
evil eye and psychic attacks. And the
I mean,
hand with the
it almost
swirl on it is
seems
known
like a
as the
lifelong
shaman's
possibility to
hand
do
or
this.
healer's hand, a symbol of protection and a talisman of good health. The pattern around its ever-closed eyes resembles the Eye of Horus, similarly a symbol of health and protection, and the bacon from Kadabra's groin is now glowing on Ajimaji's tail, and those, along with Kadabra's star, are symbols from Zener cards which are used to test a person's psychic ability. And lastly, Ajimaji wields a single spoon-shaped walking stick or staff, akin to those wielded by sorcerers and shamans. Also, not unlike Mewtwo in the manga. Why did they think Mewtwo needed a big spoon in the manga? Now, given all
me.
these symbols of protection in its design, you may have already guessed what kind of Pokemon it is. While
Psychic,
regular Alakazam is all about its special attack and speed, Ajimaji is all about
Defense?
special defense and HP,
Yeah.
and can learn all of the many psychic-type healing moves and defense
debuffs.
buffs. And its ability, Protective
Protective
Aura,
Aura.
sets up a light screen upon it entering the battlefield. Good stuff.
Handy.
And with Gen 1 done, let's skip ahead to Gen 6. Honestly,
Six?
Gen 6's trait evolutions don't
Duck?
really need to be trait evolutions, right? It's
Do
a
they?
pumpkin. Now it's a bigger gourd. It's a ghost tree spirit. Now it's a bigger ghost tree spirit. They still work and look good and add plenty of elements, but there's nothing like different enough to justify them being trade evos, in my eyes. But then again, the same can be said of Alakazam
True.
and Gengar, so like, I don't know. But what could we really even do differently? Well,
I mean, what do you got?
with
First
the
up?
mysterious power of trait evolution completely gone, these Pokemon were left waiting and waiting in their basic forms. The release of the new energy discovered by Professor Lilith did eventually lead all of the rest of them to gain new forms, new evolutions, but one of them did manage to find a new evolution on its own, waiting around as a basic Pumpkaboo, sitting there, unevolving, for decades and decades. Something eventually awoke inside Pumpkaboo. The spirits that its Pokédex says it keeps in its pumpkin body have grown restless and more powerful, and they spring out like a virus and take over the body of Pumpkaboo, causing it to evolve into Gorgoos. Gorgoos are always found in large swarms, as once a
heads
single
up.
Pumpkaboo evolves, it's now able to bite onto other Pumpkaboo and cause them to evolve instantaneously too.
Ooh.
It's a zombie pumpkin, guys.
Yep.
It's a rotting corpse of a dying jack-o'-lantern, like the jack-o'-lanterns you leave on your porch. It's like, it's December, it's still there.
Yeah,
it's
get rid of
gross.
it, please.
Like, you pick up the top of the pumpkin and the bottom of the pumpkin stays on the ground and it's gross. It's also just like that creepy jawless zombie trope.
Oh, amnesia.
And here's a fun thing. If you have a Gorgoose in your party and you also have a Pumpkaboo in your party, that Pumpkaboo evolves. Gorgoose's twisted pumpkin vine-like legs can stretch real far, allowing it to climb and run at rapid speeds, like zombies crawling up the sides of a building. But also, like zombies,
Isn't it just
it's
World War
kind
Z,
of,
though?
really, really weak to physical attacks. I mean, it's rotting. It's literally falling apart in front of you. It's like, you knock
I'm
its
pretty
head
sure
off
one
with a
fire
gentle
punch, you're good to
breeze.
go.
As for the name Gorgoose, it's straightforward. It's a gourd, resembling gore. It's a ghoul,
And a ghoul.
and
And
it
a ghoul.
oozes its pumpkiny insides. Maybe its spindly vines resemble the snakes on a Gorgon head. And there's also gargoyles. There's a lot of, like, creepy stuff
Yeah, a lot of
with
G's
these
in
kinds
there
of
and-
syllables, you know? Well, Phantom.
Oh yeah, Phantom.
One
Your
trope I
turn.
love in zombie media is the badass preacher with a gun thing. Like, maybe they tried holy water first. Sploosh. Oh, it didn't work. Bring out the shotguns.
Yeah.
And also, it feels like every other T-rated JRPG has a stand-in for the Catholic Church or just evangelical organized Western religion in it. And they are always the villain because, like, I mean... So this is Kenna Priest. It's got a
Priest,
big
okay.
canopy now, as it's an upside-down
Yeah.
Trevenant that's sort of an old forest god cult leader with elements of
And it's got
like
the
a
crown for it, you can
crown,
see it.
priest hat, priest sash, devil horns. It's got real big false prophet vibes,
Mm-hmm.
and is definitely inspired by the Devil's Tree in New Jersey. Said itself to
thing?
be a portal to hell, and it looks dead, but it's not. And it's warm year-round. And the other big inspiration, have you heard of the mansion ale tree? Its
what now?
sap is extremely toxic, and those toxic compounds get into its leaves and fruit, and even just sitting under this tree to avoid the rain is dangerous, as a raindrop that trickled down one of its leaves and then onto your skin will cause your skin to blister and burn, like what holy water does to unholy creatures. With its signature move, Hallow,
Hallow,
when
okay.
something is
Hallowed
hallowed,
be
it
thy
is made
name.
holy, it will squeeze its own fruit in its hand and then swing
boy.
its arm, scattering acidic droplets of juice all around like a shotgun blast. It's a dual ghost grass type attack that has a chance of causing a burn. Unique for a grass move. And honestly, I just really, really love its face. Look at that face. I love ghost plants. All right, two left.
Yeah,
the
moving
Gen
on.
5 Trademon.
Oh, Gen 5.
Ew. So,
Yeah, next.
Ragarola and Bulldor to Gigalith. So this goes from like a pile of some rocks with speaker ears to a rocky creature with a head. It sort of gains this head and eyes when it's traded. So let's go the other way. Let's go even
So,
further
stick with
into
the sound,
It's
okay.
just a pile of rocks with some speaker elements. This is Boombrox. Yeah, easy name. We're going all
Boombrox.
in with the spiky speakerness. It's like an anechoic
Rock
chamber
and-
which absorbs all sound, or it's a super stalagmite cave. And both
Works
this
both
line
ways.
and bats live in caves and have massive ears, so it's got some ugly bat ear inspiration thrown in, which is also similar to these proto-radars. Before radar technology, these were used to detect incoming aircraft. What a job. Hello, what do you do for a living? Oh, I have giant ears.
Yeah,
Notably,
just giant ears for
I
a living.
totally get not liking this design. It doesn't really look like anything at first glance. It's just like some crystals and rocks in the vague shape of a boombox, but I feel like that's a part of its charm, and also not much different from Bulldor. It's also just kind of a pile of rocks, but it's supposed to be weird. It's silicon-based life. Totally different from the biology of everything we know of. It's an objectmon through and through, blasting sound-based attacks around it in all directions, and even capable of floating short distances by vibrating its speakers at a high enough frequency that it rides along the sound waves. Look,
You know, I'm still surprised we never really got that, like, you know, sound-based typing. Like, we do have a lot of, like, sound-based moves, you know, uproar and all that, but you gotta admit, like, the fact we don't have, like, a sound-based type, I'm surprised, you know? I mean, people do still do that, but the fact we don't have it, I'm surprised. I guess they want. I'm not sure how they balance it, but let me know. Anyway.
Look, if Mr. Mime can make barriers by vibrating, this isn't too far-fetched.
True.
And lastly, Timber, Girder, and Conkeldurr. Construction worker carnies with gross flesh blobs. One big difference between Girder and Conkeldurr are their heads. We got gross, fleshy clown hair, and then balloon animal butt head? So let's keep with the clown hair for this new Evo, and let's go in another direction with it.
What do you got?
Demolition instead of construction. Just as important, really. But what's the big new addition? Well, how about some proboscis monkey elements? The line already has some gross lumps and proboscis. This is Dismander. A big, strong trope of a carny strongman carrying a wrecking ball. It destroys and dismantles things, hence the name. And also, it's a comedic relief Pokemon akin to Wobbuffet, and why not? Why? Why not?
Really? Yeah, didn't
And
you?
remember, in Japanese, Wobbuffet's name translates to "that's the way it is," which explains it popping up all the time in the anime. Its name is a joke. That's the way it is! So same here. Oh no, we're trapped under a bus! Who's going to help? Disman! But who could we really trust with something like this, Doctor?
This man.
Oh, hey, you want to go to the comedy club? There's this new comedian in town, and he just riffs on the audience members.
Oh, really? What's his name? Disman! It is definitely the kind of Pokemon that just shows up randomly in the anime to scream a part of its name. And plus, this whole line of Pokemon is already like the butt of plenty of jokes, by which I mean it's a popular one to hate. They are ugly, and nobody likes them. So lean into that and make them funny. Plus, you know, carnies, they're supposed to be funny. This all makes perfect sense to me. And also, the pink parts on this line are supposed to resemble like bulging veins, right? So Dismander's tail and nose and groin. Well, the nose and huge eyebrow ridge is supposed to give it big Russian strongman kind of look, as that's a big part of the trope, hence TF2's heavy even.
Sandwich, make me strong!
And the large ridge of Soda Popinski. This dude who's real, I guess. So, Dismander, Boombrox, Canapriest, Gorgoose, Ajimaji, Dangal, Machug, Doncrete, Molance, and Bombydale. All new, non-trade evolutions for Pokemon who could previously only evolve via trading. I think we did a pretty alright job here, especially with some of the edgier aspects. But what do you think? Let me know down below, and until next time, you never stop using your noggin.
Thanks.
And I hope you enjoy this.
Also, yeah, we'll be doing more of this, but let me know if I should go back to the Cascade region, because I feel like I still need to do some more of that, you know? I don't remember where, but if you guys like this, let me know. Till then, thanks for watching. See ya.